I believe we're live. I'm gonna jump into the fucking call now.
Hi.
You're gonna have to unmute me in there.
What's your name?
Artso Alt.
Okay.
Alright. We're doing motherfucking VVV because, basically... Oh, there's fucking too much noise going on right here, right now. How do I turn off the sound? Graphic options? Why would it be in there? How do I turn off the noise from the game? Alright, well, I'll just reduce its volume in my mixer. That's a life hack for you. So, we're gonna go ahead and I guess start bringing people in. Hopefully, Turkey Tom won't be a turkey and will come in here. I think Tommy C, who I wanted to be on, is...
Turkey Tom is in here.
Probably asleep. Turkey Tom is in here?
Yeah.
Alright, get him on.
Alright, nigga, you went live. Hello.
You there, Turkey Tom? What's going on?
Yeah, you know, had a uneventful day. Yourself, Digi?
I have had a productive day.
That's good.
So, where should we even begin? You made a video about me last night, full of horseshit lies and misinformation given to you, assumably by other people, and you didn't do any research into what you should have, nor contact me at all. So where do we want to begin? What do you have the biggest problem with me about?
I don't know if... Alright, I guess there's a lot to go over, really. Let me try to figure out a way to articulate myself. I don't necessarily have a problem with your, you know, love of lolly or whatever. You know, you can like it all you want. I don't think that you need to be locked up for it. I'm pro free speech. I don't think that you need to have it taken away, nor did I say that in the video. I guess the main problem for me is just that I find your content boring, and I don't think you handled the Mumkey situation very well. And other than that, I just like making fun of people like you, but that's about it.
Okay, well, in your video, you do not frame anything that way. Now, if simply you had said those statements, there would be no problem and no drama here.
Yeah, I'm very aware, and this is when my mistakes come in, because I'm very poor at seeing what the critical response will be and sort of articulating myself, which is my bad, and admittedly, I should have included it in the video.
Now, is there a reason that you haven't taken, in light of the fact that your video is full of misinformation by your own admittance, have you not taken it down?
Is it full of misinformation?
I would say so. First of all, it says on the thumbnail, Digibro is a pedophile.
Right.
So this is misinformation because I'm not a pedophile.
I disagree with that.
You can't disagree with that because it's a fact. So if you say you disagree
explain,
with it,
explain.
If you say that you disagree and that you publish information such as that I am a pedophile when I'm not, then that is libel, my friend.
Right, but explain, please.
Explain what?
How are you not?
Because I am not attracted to little girls or little children in general, because pedophiles.
Right. So here's where the semantic debate comes in that I've been going over all day. So you're attracted to, from what I understand, lollies, which are of course illustrated, right?
Yes, we'll say.
And it's a sexual attraction, just to get this straight.
I mean, I am sexually attracted to drawings.
Okay, right. But I'm not saying you want to fuck kids.
Well, that's what it means to be a pedophile. That is the definition of a pedophile.
Right, but you gotta let me explain. I'm saying that you want to fuck lollies. Lollies are illustrated children. The definition
They're
of
not
pedophile
illustrated children,
is someone...
They are not
What
children
are they,
in any way. They are just drawings.
Right, they are illustrated children.
No,
correct?
they're not. An illustrated child would imply that there is a child somewhere in there. But there is not.
It's a depiction of a child, right?
No.
No?
No.
How is it not?
Because it's a bunch
literally
of
a
lines
drawing.
on a piece of paper.
It's a drawing of a little girl.
No, it is a drawing that can be interpreted however the fuck you want to.
What? this just. So if I draw a dragon, let's say, for example, and somebody is sexually attracted to that,
Yes.
are you saying they don't want to fuck dragons?
Not necessarily, no. They might want to fuck drawings of dragons. I mean, probably they don't even want to fuck it. Being sexually attracted to something isn't the same as wanting to fuck it. But they certainly are not... I mean, first of all, dragons don't even exist, so you cannot want to fuck dragons because they're not real.
Well, you can want to, even if they don't exist.
Well, sure. I suppose you can. I suppose you can have that
They're out
desire.
there.
But
I mean, look, the way I see it, I know pedophile is a very taboo term. You know, it's cast out there often. I have been involved, or at least seen situations happen where some of my one of my YouTube idols has been accused of being a pedophile, which he was not, because he was not attracted to children.
yeah.
You, the way I see it, drawing or not, you are sexually attracted to children.
How?
They're illustrated.
Wait,
They're not.
where are you coming? If it's a drawing, it's not children. I am categorically not attracted to children that are not drawings.
Okay, why are you attracted to it?
They're made to be sexualized. Like, they're made to be hot.
I mean,
Not
they're
all of them.
well. For me, it's more not even so much about being attracted to them because of the way they look, so much as that it helps to explore elements of human psychology that don't make sense and are best explored through art, which is mainly the reason that art exists in the first place, is to explore things that we don't understand about our psyches in a safe environment, you know? So, to me, I grew up as someone who looked like a little girl and went through a rapid growth period in my teens, and I was very confused about my body and why this happened. And for a while, you know, looking at these types of art helped me to, like, reconcile with myself and the changes that had happened, you know? I don't even like... For what it's worth, I don't even look at porn anymore at all, because I'm not in that state of mind where I need something like that in order to help identify myself. So, you know, to me, it's something that I think has a lot of potential, a lot of psychological benefits for people to explore themselves in, you know, in a safe environment where nobody gets hurt. And, you know, if there's people who don't understand themselves, they might, you know, lash out in other ways because of the fact that they, you know, don't have any way of exploring these feelings. There's probably plenty of people who are not attracted to children and use lolly porn to realize that. But, you know, you can't really put the meaning of art into a box. Everyone's going to have their own reactions to it and understandings of it, which is why it's so important to protect all of it.
I'm not trying to ban it, if that's what you think. 'Cause you said
I don't
protect.
think you're trying to ban it, but when I say protect, I mean socially. It's important that people not be looked down on for the art they like, because that's something that it's going to make it so that those people have less of an understanding of themselves. If you tell people continuously that it's wrong for them to like this type of pornography, then that's just going to make those people think that they are, in fact, you know, dangerous to society, because people keep insisting that to them, and, you know, it's going to put them in the mindset that they're doing something wrong, you know? And,
right, but I didn't really... Did I say you're a danger to society?
well, I mean, I think it's pretty implied in the language that you use.
I don't think so. I used a lot of exaggerative ad hominem...
You
Exaggerated
said he
was
should
max.
be locked up.
Did I?
Yeah, in your video you did.
Citation, please.
What did he
You got a
say? What are you
timestamp?
saying he said?
He said you should be locked up.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he did.
He probably... I mean, you said a lot of random things, which I think were probably... I mean, honestly, half the video is just random fucking insults that have nothing to do
Yeah,
with what
I'm
you're
gonna be
saying.
honest. The video's flawed, and I acknowledge that, which is why, before I even made it public, I put the comment at the top, which doesn't fix the issues of the video itself, but I think it does sort of clarify my stances on these things. I think, at the end of the day, I don't think... I'd love to debate you all night, but I'm not sure this debate's really going to go anywhere. I guess we can move on to the next point.
Well, I just want you to concede that I am not a pedophile, and that by calling me one, you are committing a libelous act on my reputation, which is illegal. I might remind you.
No.
Why?
Like I said, this is a semantic debate.
It's not a
but
fucking
to me-
semantic debate. There is no, like, the word means a thing. The word has a definition, and that definition carries weight in our society. If you go around calling somebody a pedophile, people lose their jobs because they're called a pedophile. I'm not a pedophile, so if you call me that, you are committing an illegal, libelous act against me. Do you understand that, you fucking child?
Digi, you're literally sexually attracted to children.
I'm not
before
sexually
you talk,
attracted to children, you retard. I'm telling you that.
just because it's a drawing, obviously there's a difference because in one there's a victim when, you know, child porn.
Let me
obviously
ask you
that's
something.
Much
If
worse.
I were to sue you for libel, and I know I'm going to win in court, would you regret this?
Regret
Regret
what?
having made this video and not having just relinquished this point? Because I think you would. I think you would
If
regret
you won
this.
and I lost money because of it, of course.
Well, that could very well happen because what you have done is a libelous act. And I
You
could
gonna sue me,
do that.
Digibro?
If I want to, I could.
Okay, well.
I'd
love
rather
to
that
see
you
it.
came to the decision that you were going to retract your statement and, you know, grow up a little bit and understand that you can't just go saying things about people that aren't true, especially things that could damage their reputation and job opportunities in the future. That is what the definition of libel is. Do you understand that?
I understand what libel is. I'm familiar with the term.
Do you understand
But-
that you've committed it?
No, I
Okay,
definitely have not.
So you don't understand that by saying that I'm attracted to children, which I'm not, provably, and that is under the jurisdiction of what is considered like the legal the dictionary definition of what is a pedophile, I am not one. So for you to say that I am one means that you are committing a crime. Do you appreciate that?
Right. So what you're saying is that my point is that you're a pedophile because you're attracted to children. You're saying you're not because you're attracted to drawings of children.
I'm not even attracted to drawings of children, first of all, because like I said, I don't even look at porn anymore. And second of all...
Okay, so you were at one point then.
Yeah, but I'm saying that they are not drawings of children, because the drawings have no correlation to real life. It's not there's no human element to it. It's a drawing. If I drew you a picture of two stick figures fucking right now and told you they were underage, are you gonna tell me that's child porn?
No, because even a drawing that's
Now
done
let me
well
ask you another
isn't child
question.
porn.
Do you play video games at all?
Not really.
Have you ever?
Well, obviously, if you're gonna bring up the whole video games cause violence debate and that
I am
sort of
gonna
thing,
bring that up because do
Yeah,
you
of
consider
course,
yourself a
yes.
murderer for the people you've killed in video games or not?
No, of course not, Digi.
Okay,
I'm
then
not
why
saying-
would you consider me to be a pedophile for looking at drawings? What is the
Because-
difference in your mind? Because there is none, but I'm curious to hear what you think.
I'm saying, I think that's sort of a false equivalency because
How?
one of them. Okay, can I talk?
Yeah.
Because in one of them, you're literally sexually attracted to something, and the other,
What? Yeah, you're literally sexually attracted to a drawing.
right, of a child.
No, there is no child. Where are you coming from
How
with
is
this?
a lolly not a child?
Because it's a piece of paper.
Right. It's a piece of paper that's depicting a child.
No, it's a piece of paper that is depicting
That's
whatever
depicting a
you
child.
say it is depicting. Now, if I were to draw a picture of what to you looked like a beautiful adult woman, and then I told you that she's actually 12, are you now a pedophile?
I mean, I don't know.
If I
Digi.
draw a picture...
What if I'm not attracted to women?
Well, if I draw a picture of a big muscly dude bro who you want to suck the cock of, and I tell you that he's actually only 12, are you now a pedophile?
No, definitely not.
Why
But
not?
Like I'm saying.
You just
it's
said if you're attracted to a depiction of something that is supposed to be or is declared to be, you know, underage, you're saying that makes you a pedophile. That's what your argument has been. So you're telling me that
I debated
just,
this with YMS as well. It depends on why you're attracted to them. Are you attracted to them because of their underdeveloped prepubescent childlike features? Are you attracted to them because they're a child, or are you attracted to them because just they're an
I'm
adult?
attracted to them because they're a drawing.
This This is going nowhere. I'm not going to concede on this. I'm
If
sorry.
you won't, I mean,
can't.
so you have no argument, but you won't concede. So
No, my argument is that you're a pedophile because you're attracted to.
which is incorrect definitionally, and therefore illegal to say. Do you appreciate that?
No, I definitely don't.
So when I sue you, you're not going to be you're going to stick with that? That's going to be your stance when you go to court?
You're not gonna sue me.
Why wouldn't
sure.
I?
That may be my lawyer's stance. We'll see how they feel.
Why would I not sue you?
I don't I don't know why you wouldn't. I can think of a lot of reasons why you wouldn't. I don't know why you would, really.
Because you have committed libel against me, and therefore if I sued you, I could make a whole bunch of money from you.
Right.
I could rake you over the coals for it.
You could also lose.
I won't lose because you're wrong, and I know the law. I've read the law. I understand the law. I know what is and isn't illegal.
You can't guarantee that just because you know what is legal and is illegal, that a judge will determine it.
Oh,
that
yeah.
way.
So just because I can't guarantee, even though I've read the law, means that it would be a bad idea for me to try when I'm well informed and know what I'm trying to do.
I don't know if this is some kind of intimidation tactic, but I'd say if you're going to sue me, go ahead. We'll see the Dick Masterson comparisons come in again, and it should be
well, I like being compared to Dick Masterson, who, by the way, agrees
you
with me.
won't be compared to Dick Masterson, did you?
By the way, Dick Masterson on that show agreed with my stance. BT dubs, just in case you were confused about that.
I'm not saying he didn't.
I'm just saying if you want
like
to, if you're someone who idolizes him for any reason, I just want you to know that.
Like I said, this seems like intimidation to get me to concede. I won't. So I guess if you're gonna sue me, now's the time to look into lawyers.
Do you want to know why I want you to concede? It's because I want you to not come out of this looking like a fucking total retard for the rest of your life and getting made fun of on the internet for the next however long by my fan base. Because you deserve it and you will get it. You understand? Like if this were to be a beef that did not have to go through time because you keep spreading lies about me and I keep having to defend myself because, again, it has real consequences for me as an internet creator and as in my career, you know, as an adult in the working world who has to participate in society. I can't have people going around saying that I'm a pedophile and spreading lies about me because it has serious consequences for me. So I'm not going to just I'm not going to stop pursuing you for this. If you're going to have a video with a thumbnail on it that says Digibro is a pedophile, you're going to be hearing from me until that video goes down. Do you understand that?
Tell you what. If it makes you really happy, I'll change the thumbnail just for you, but I'm not going to concede on this point.
Will you take down the video?
No. I plan on doing a follow-up with some corrections, but I won't concede on that point.
Well, if you want to... I would love it if you would at least change the thumbnail. That would definitely be a step in the right direction.
You know what? Because I'm such a nice guy, obviously. I'll do that.
Alright.
I'll change it to just say busting Digibro instead of all the little big words.
That would definitely be nice. By the way, I don't know
because admittedly the thumbnail was a little misleading because it just says pedophile instead of lolicon.
It also
which I should have put because it's more specific. Even though I don't agree with your point, because I still think that being a lolicon's a pedophile, but let's not go back down that tangent. I'll change the thumbnail. Sure.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to address? Any other points against me that you feel would help you to discuss in person?
I mean, not really. I mean, you saw the video. If there's anything else you disagree with,
okay.
Be sure to let me know.
So, what do you think? How do you think the Mumkey Jones situation played out? Because the way that you described it in your video was incorrect to what happened. So, if you could give me your current understanding of it.
From what I understand, obviously I didn't know either of you at the time. I met Mumkey afterwards, although I'm not sure if he was watching my videos at the time. I had been listening to ISMA for a while. I never liked I guess it's just my experience. I never liked your content really, but that could have just been because I wasn't really into anime.
You'll get into anime one day, don't worry.
We'll see. I'd enjoy Akira. I watched that the other day. But
Yeah, if you
moving
like
on.
Akira, there's plenty like it. Just watch more 80s
All right,
shit.
but like I said, I was listening to ISMA at the time. Oh god, this is like a year ago. And the sort of drama played out. My understanding is that, I mean, I think it's the understanding that everyone has. Mumkey had been associating with trolls, and he sort of encourages that kind of culture. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Which I agree with. I don't know if he was really good friends with them.
What exactly do you just agree with being friends with trolls? Is that what you mean to say?
No,
or?
I just mean like you seem to like. I agree that he was supportive of that, and
Okay.
a lot of people don't seem to see that.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, he was associating with these trolls, sort of, and egging them on and encouraging their sort of little, I guess it's harassment.
Mm-hmm.
And so that went on for months, and eventually he got to a point where you told him multiple times to stop. He never really did, and eventually straw sort of broke the camel's back.
Uh-huh.
You kicked him because Jesse said he would come back if Mumkey
Now
was
that
gone.
did not happen.
Or you offered that and he said yes, he would come back?
He did not even say he would come back. He merely said that it would be more likely. But he never made any offer to actually come back to the show, and he has not come back to the show.
Yeah, I know that.
You know, I respect that. Because
right. Well, in that case, obviously that would have been wrong in my video, but why did you remove Mumkey if there was no guarantee of him coming back?
Because I thought that Mumkey's influence on the show was a toxic influence. I thought that the same thing... First of all, some of those same people who had been harassing Jesse were starting to come after me. So I was like, okay, well, not only is this affecting me and my friend, but, like, I had also been of the mind that Mumkey was going to change. I thought that he would eventually see the light and stop associating with these people because he would value his relationship with the PCP over that. And, you know, he had for a very long time thought that he was going to get kicked for this, but I guess he felt safe after a while because of the fact that, you know, Jesse had taken off, so he didn't think it was a big deal anymore. But, you know, when it started coming to pass that I was also getting harassed, and also that I could see that Mumkey was making no attempt to alter this behavior, I was just like, well, it's better that we just get rid of him now while the getting is good, basically.
Right. But from my perspective, at least, I fail to see how the harassment's really an issue. I've been getting shit online for the past...
Do you like getting shit online?
No, but it just sort of brushes right off me.
Okay, well, I mean, you don't have to take shit online. You can fight against it and help to end that culture.
Right, you can fight against it, but I just think that sort of trying to prevent it by kicking someone off your podcast who is your friend and effectively ending your relationship is kind of immature, honestly.
Look, this was going for 6 months. Mumkey was well aware of the fact that I had a problem with the way that he was associating with these people. It was something that had come up many times, and the way it ended was definitely not the best way, but the only reason that I had to make that video is that when Mumkey made his video, he framed it in a dishonest way. He framed the position as though, like, just the phrasing he used in his video was deliberately painted to make him look like a victim in the situation. And
I mean, I don't know if it was the phrasing. It was probably more the tone, because he did sound rather somber in the video, admittedly. But I mean, I don't think you could have expected any different, considering he just lost. I mean, his one of his groups of friends online.
You know what he didn't have to do was lose that group of friends, because all he had to do was stop associating with the fucking people who we were made uncomfortable by. Like, the fact that he lost his group of friends is entirely his fault. He would not make the consent. Like, you understand that this is not a matter of what is, like, morally right or whether or not someone should get over it. It's a matter of your friends are uncomfortable.
It's a nuisance. It's a nuisance, right?
Yeah, and if you want to be friends with somebody, then you have to make certain compromises. You know, like, he didn't have to agree with our stance. He just had to not associate with the trolls, you know, and not associate with people who were harassing members of his show, of his group of friends. Like, if you had a friend who was constantly like supporting and backpacking somebody who was kicking your ass every day, you would probably be like, dude, what the fuck? You know, and that's essentially exactly what it was like. So that's why I think it was very disingenuous of him to act like this was some huge blindside when he had said many times in the PCP chat that he thought he was going to get kicked. And he was always acting like he was just waiting to pack his bags because he's somebody
that was
who...
likely a joke. I mean, if you guys were talking about it frequently, you know how Mumkey is.
Of course I know how... I think I know how Mumkey is better than anyone else does.
So I don't see why you expected any different.
I mean, I just thought that maybe if he came to value his friendships over his principles, then perhaps he would change his stance on something. But because of the fact that he valued that principle of, you know, of rejecting no one and thinking it's funny, you know, and that's the other thing, is that the reason that he would not reject those people is that he thinks it's funny. It's not just that he acts like it's just a matter of principle, but like he embraces that culture because he thinks it's funny. So that means he thinks it's funny for his friends to get shit on. And the way he treats a lot of his online friends is abusive, and that's why most of them end up leaving at some point. Like his friend, you know, YouTuber Sai, who, you know, basically Mumkey constantly treated like shit until he couldn't take it anymore, and finally just was like, you know what, I'm not going to associate with you any longer.
Right. I don't know enough about the Psy thing to really comment on it, and I didn't personally know either of you at the time.
So I can't really go in too hard on your decisions to kick Mumkey from a podcast that I didn't even really listen to and I wasn't involved in.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to a few episodes. I think I listened to the losing virginity one or something like that.
Yeah, it's like...
But I guess the only thing I can really say is that I think Jess, and I'm not sure, I don't remember how you took the trolls exactly. I know you weren't happy with it, but all I can really say is that I think Jess needs to get a little tougher skin and sort of expect that.
I don't think it matters whether or not Jess needs tougher skin is completely irrelevant to the argument. Because
I think it's completely relevant to the argument.
How is it relevant?
Because the reason you oh shit, Mumkey's in the call right now. Turn on his mic. He DM'd
Well,
me
I mean,
last.
He can come in after you, but I'm not gonna let you have him as your defense blanket.
You can mute me if you want. I don't care.
I'd like to finish your point here.
All right, let's finish the point. What were we saying?
I'm saying that whether or not you agree with the way that like he handled the situation of the trolling is irrelevant to the fact that what Mumkey was doing made this person who's on the show uncomfortable. It's not a matter of like what he thinks is right. It's a matter of, if you want to be on a show where you have to interact with other human beings, then you need to make compromises to make them, you know, feel comfortable working with you. That is what it means to work in a group, you know? And so, like, whether you agree with his stance or not, ultimately the point is that if you're gonna be in a group that's essentially started by this guy, it's basically Jesse's podcast that he has left out of feeling discomfort from being on it, from being on his own show, caused by a member of the podcast. Does it not stand to reason that member's actions be questioned?
Questioned? Yeah. I don't know if he needed to be kicked.
Well,
honestly,
they were
other than
questioned
that,
many times before the kicking happened.
Okay, like I said, I don't know the complete backstory.
Well, then you
I did
probably
watch your
shouldn't
video
talk
and I
about
watched-
the story, should you, if you don't
Can
know
I
the
say,
story?
I watched Mumkey's video and I watched Digi's video.
Uh-huh.
But based on that, I can't completely disagree. Guess that's really all I gotta say. If you have any other issues with the video,
You're free to go if you if you want.
All right, I guess I'll see you in court.
I guess we'll bring in Mumkey if it's actual Mumkey and
Yeah,
not a.
let's try.
It is him.
All right,
So long. All right.
is he here?
Yep. Let's bring him in. Yo.
Digi!
Mumkey.
Now, Digi, I've never really listened to the show before, but if I'm correct, the premise is anybody can call in and debate you on any topic. Is that right?
That is true.
And no matter what topic, you will debate it?
Yeah. I mean, assuming I have an argument.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 19 of the Insufferable Social Media Argument Podcast. I'm your host, Mumkey Jones, joined as always by my good buddy, Mr. Digibro. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What do you want to argue about on this episode, Mumkey?
So, the argument that I've been really dying to hit you with ever since everything went down, between us,
yeah,
is who has a bigger dick?
Okay.
Jesus Christ or Muhammad? Which one do you choose?
I am going to say probably Jesus, because in the Middle East, they're kind of emaciated. They don't have the best food supplies. I'm not sure. Well, I guess they're both from the Middle East, aren't they?
Yeah. Already you're tripping up over this big old dick over here, Digi.
Well, I mean, most of the representations of Jesus portray him as a white man, and we all know that white men have bigger dicks than the jihads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever seen that movie, First Sunday? They go to a black church and there's a picture of black Jesus, Digi. I think it's...
Well, if there's a black Jesus, then I think it's pretty clear who the winner is.
I think it's insensitive of you to automatically assume that Jesus is a white man, first of all.
I mean...
Second of all, I don't know if you've ever seen those sand people, but they've got some massive dongs. You think those Arabic women are dating their men because they're being forced to by religion? No, it's because they've got the biggest dicks in the world and they want to get some of that brown cock in them.
Well, they do have a lot of phallic symbolism in their culture, the mosques and all,
Yeah. I mean, if
doesn't that seem like overcompensation though? Doesn't it seem like they have that because maybe they're making up for something?
If you're a 6-year-old girl living in Saudi Arabia, the one thing you want is like you're gonna be into like what like pony toys and race car. What are little girls even in fucking into? The only way you're gonna get a little girl into wanting to be with a man is the world's biggest fucking dick, and that's why Muhammad clearly had a bigger dick than Jesus, because he's more Middle Eastern than fucking your white ass black ass Jesus.
But so are you saying Middle Eastern people have bigger dicks than black people? Because that flies in
of
the face
course!
of all dogma that I've ever learned in my life.
Digi, why do you think when America was formed, we enslaved the blacks rather than the Middle Easterns? It's because we were intimidated by the Middle Eastern dicks, because they're so much bigger. The blacks were like, oh, sure, they have an inch on us, so what? We can enslave them. The Middle Easterns, we didn't stand a fucking chance in the dick department.
Well, I'll admit I haven't seen a lot of Middle Eastern dick.
It's all I look at. I look at them every fucking day.
How where can I find some
Middle Eastern dick?
Where can I find some comparison shots?
Okay, so I know you're not much of a reader. I know there's this anime book called the Quran that you've probably never heard of, but there's a whole chapter in there where they just show, it's like an illustrated chapter, they just show Middle Eastern dicks in the Quran. I've read it many times.
That's incredible. So what kind of scale
How many
are we
dick pics
talking?
are in the Bible? How many pictures of Jesus's cock are in the Bible, Digi?
I don't think more than 3.
Yeah, well, there's at least 3 in the Quran of Muhammad. I think they have a comparison page where they compare Muhammad and Jesus's cocks, and Jesus's dick is much smaller.
Maybe they worship Muhammad because he has a larger cock than most of them.
Well, yeah, that's my point, is that Islam is the biggest religion in the world by far. Christianity is, I think, second or third behind, like, fucking Buddhism or some stupid shit. Of course, all these people are rallying behind the guy with the bigger cock. So, I don't know, man. I might have to agree with you on this. I might have to concede this argument. Is this the first time in Digibro versus everybody history that Digi has conceded?
No, it's not.
Oh,
unfortunately, you don't get that vested honor.
That's too bad. Well, that's all I had. So hey, it's been fun. I'll be on the next episode with a new cock argument for you.
All right, we'll bring you on to exclusively argue about cocks from now on.
Okay, see you, buddy.
Later. All right, who are we bringing on next?
We got some people in here. Y-Kick's in here if you want to bring him in.
Y-Kick's in here? All right, bring in Y-Kick.
Oh,
we got all the
boy.
big names today. It's finally happening. The show I intended this show to
Hello.
be.
How's it going, Digi?
Is that Y-Kick? What do you want to argue about?
That is Y-Kick. Alright, so first off, you recently said in a video that my videos are all just parody. At least, that's what you said that I said. And I'm wondering what made you say that, because I certainly didn't.
Now, in the first video you did, and granted I have not watched any of these, but I have been told about them. I was told that in the first video you did, there's a part where you basically say, you speculate on something and then say, it probably isn't even true. And this presents this overall tenor of your videos that whether or not the things you're saying are factual are sort of irrelevant, because you're painting it as more of a comedy-focused video. Now, I don't know if you ever actually outright said that they were parody. That's just how I took the things that people were telling me about the videos to mean.
Well, I will say that there are elements of parody and elements of satire and sarcasm in the videos, but on a factual basis, I'd say that they're fairly accurate. And when I do present my opinion,
where did you get your facts from in these videos of yours?
Mostly your videos, Mumkey's videos, interviewing people involved.
Interviewing who? Who was involved other than me and Mumkey?
Well, I tried to interview everyone who had any part in it. A lot of people weren't interested. Mostly people on your side.
Who was interested?
So the people that were interested were, we had Cream Man, Mr. Meatman, and Bedhead Bernie for the most part. I also talked to Ben Saint a little bit. I tried to get a hold of who were the other people? Steel Viper.
Ben Saint, by the way, was the one who had interpreted your videos as intended to be parody.
Well, I could definitely see that. I mean, there are elements of parody and sarcasm and satire in it, but for the most part, they're telling a story, and that just helps to push the narrative through, keep people entertained. But fair enough. Let's move on. The ultimatum, right? So you said, I guess you recently just sort of touched on this a bit with Turkey Tom. You said that Jesse didn't say that he would come back.
Yes.
But in the Let's Play video that you did say that he said that. In fact, that's what sprung on the whole vote. So did that change, or what?
No,
did you say something?
I may have
what's
misspoke
the
in
deal?
that video. I don't remember exactly what I said because it's unscripted. But yeah, no. The way it played out was I said to Jesse, like, if we kicked Mumkey, would you consider, like, would you be more likely to come back? And he said, there's a chance, but I'm not going to guarantee I'll ever come back to the show. And I said, well, I'm sick of Mumkey's influence, and I think, like, if there's any chance at all, then it would be worth it to have the guy who made the goddamn thing, you know, feeling that he is capable of returning to the project at some point.
All right, fair enough then. So I misinterpreted, or you misspoke during that Let's Play, which led to the whole misunderstanding about the ultimatum. That's fine. The next thing that I want to get to is doxing. Now, infamously, in my video, the PCP fails at business, I sort of name-dropped your current fiance.
Yeah.
I won't do it here, because I do feel like I did overstep a little bit, but I don't think that it's doxing.
Okay.
And specifically using the definition that you brought up, which was that a dox is the search for and publish of private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. Now, it obviously wasn't private information because it was on a public Facebook page.
Yes.
Right. The next part is identifying information.
Yes. It is definitely identifying.
Absolutely. But here's my case. So is anything. For instance, the country you live in, color of your hair, planet you live on,
Sure.
galaxy. It's just you use such a broad definition to define doxing that it's completely unfair, and it would basically make just about anyone who searches up information. For instance, you who made the video about what was his name, the big anime guy.
It doesn't
who's a
matter.
genius
Any of
hack
them.
maker.
Most of my videos are about guys.
Yeah, exactly. So would you? I don't think you'd consider that video doxing. Right?
I mean, by the definition that I was accusing you, it is doxing.
Exactly, but so would anything else be. So is everything doxing, or is that just a poor definition? I think we need to come to an understanding.
I don't know if it's necessarily a poor definition so much as a useful one when you're trying to be mad at somebody.
Fair enough. I can appreciate that. All right, let's move on then. The next thing that we're going to talk about is slander. You said that I slandered you in my videos.
Yes.
I'm interested specifically where.
I mean,
or when.
There's a whole bit where you accuse me of, like, manipulating my girlfriend into I don't even remember what. It was just this framing that, like, that you twisted the things that I said about, like, a funny hypothetical into like, oh, he's fucking trying to like mind control his wife or some shit.
I don't know. I think there's definitely some plausible reality to that.
Like what?
Based off of literally what you said in the video.
What did I say?
You can go back and watch it. I don't have the full thing, but it was basically along the lines of you saying that in your relationship, you've employed similar tactics. Something along those lines. Sure. And likewise, in the past, you've also admitted to having some deception-related manipulative tendencies as well in past Let's Plays, as well as I believe on the After Dark channel once or twice.
Yeah.
So based off that, can't one just reasonably assume that this scenario isn't different, especially when you said it pretty much isn't different in the video itself?
In the video, what I was talking about is that it made me feel like a connection to the characters in a hypothetical scenario where I was a worse person, is essentially what I was trying to describe. I was trying to say, like, you know, because of the fact that I have had these manipulative tendencies, I can see in myself the capability of, like, if I was a worse guy, like, if I went down this road of, like, embracing this side of myself, then this would be, you know, something that might happen. But it wasn't to suggest that it was literally the way I feel or, like, how I wanted to handle myself. That's all I really remember about it.
That's fair enough, but that's not the way that I interpreted it at all.
Well, obviously it's not the way you interpreted it. Yeah, that's why I considered it slanderous.
Well, for it to be slanderous, it needs to be provably so in a court of law, which is another issue. And let's just go right into the Turkey Tom thing, where you said that you're inherently not a pedophile. And you said that you could prove it. Well, I want you to tell everyone here, prove it. Prove that you're not a pedophile beyond a reasonable doubt.
I don't have any sexual attraction to children.
Said every pedophile ever.
Well, I mean, what else? How can you otherwise prove that?
Exactly. That makes it not slander because it's something that you can't prove. Now, it's a shitty thing to say about someone, sure, but it's not slander.
Well, I didn't say it was slander. I said it was libel about what he said.
Sure, libel, but libel's written, slander is verbal.
Well, whatever the case is, he's spreading...
You would lose in a court of law.
I would not lose because there is no basis...
You would absolutely lose in a court of law.
There is no basis for his claim.
Beyond a reasonable doubt that you are, in fact, not a pedophile. The burden of proof would fall on you.
The burden of proof would not fall on me. It would fall on him for making the accusation.
You are the one claiming that he is committing slander. Therefore,
the slander is that he... The slander is that he is making an accusation on no basis. Like, you can't just go around calling people fucking...
You have to prove that there's no basis, and you have to prove that you are in no way
the proof that there's no basis is that there's no basis! Where did he come up with the idea? It has no it has no reflection of reality within it.
You've talked about
that has nothing to do with pedophilia!
There's definitely a connection. There's definitely a connection.
Oh, there's definitely... Yeah, prove that. Show me the fucking science, because I've looked at it.
There are plenty of studies out there that show that there is a
Show me one.
Alright, I'll send it to you in the DMs. Unblock me on Twitter.
Fat chance.
I don't have it on me immediately. I made a whole video on this subject. I'm pretty well versed on it.
Good luck. I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched Digibro versus everybody, but we had an hour-long debate on this subject.
No, I actually have. I did watch the whole thing.
Well, then you know my stance.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I don't think that there's enough research on the subject. I think there needs to be more done before we can come to like a legitimate understanding. But to say that there's no connection whatsoever is a little bit ridiculous. There's definitely a larger percentage of the population who watches Lolicon that are also pedophiles than there would be.
Percentage?
Yeah, a larger percentage.
I mean, sure. I would say
than just the general population.
Is it fair to say that people who are pedophiles probably do look at that type of porn? I think that's fair to say, but that does not...
More so than the average person?
But why would that necessarily go in the other direction? Like, that's like saying... Like, okay, school shooters are more likely to have played a video game, but that is there's no causation there. It's just that people who happen to have that personality type will be, you know, likely predisposed to consuming this type of media, but that doesn't mean that it goes both ways, you know.
Fair enough. I mean, it's an argument that'll go on, but I think the base point here that I'm trying to make is that you can't prove that you're not a pedophile.
Yeah, but he can't prove that I am.
He doesn't have to.
Yes,
You're the
he
one taking
does,
him to
because
court.
he's the one who has made the accusation.
That's not the way the law works.
Dude, if you just... Okay, if I just go to court and I say you're a murderer, and there's no way for you to prove that you didn't kill somebody, because maybe you hid the body so fucking well no one's ever gonna find it. Like, so does it fall on you to prove you're not a murderer?
You could say... No, you could absolutely say that, and the reasonable defense would just be, look, I'm not a murderer. I didn't do that. But the second you take it to a court of law, you have to prove that that person is absolutely in the wrong in order to get a settlement.
So if somebody came out and was constantly insisting that I am a murderer, and he cost me my job because people believed him, and I took him to court for libel, that I have to prove I'm not a murderer when there's no basis?
Yes.
That is not how it works.
That is absolutely how it works.
Show me proof.
I'll bring up some court cases after you unblock me.
I have my Law of Journalism and Mass
Why are you
Communication book
calling
right here, so I can actually pull
Insanity.
some up for you.
Yeah, feel free.
Oh, are we gonna do that right now? Because that's gonna...
No, it might take me a while to look through all
Yeah,
my
you
notes.
can
I
come
took
on to
this
the next
class
show
like
and we
3
can
years
hash out the
ago.
Yeah,
rest of
take
that
your time.
debate.
Sure.
We're all gonna
Alright,
have to find a
that's-
bunch of fucking sources.
That's most of what I wanted to talk about. One last thing, though. I'm interested in finding out if you'd be willing to do an interview for the final of the series, The Kicking of Mumkey Jones, just so that way I can get more of a clear story and depiction of how everything is played out.
I'm not going to give you clips you can manipulate to
Fair
say
enough,
whatever you
but-
want.
But I will tell you ahead of time that the entire interview will be posted unedited, if that makes you feel better
I mean,
about doing one.
I don't see any reason I would want to do that, because I've already got you here now to clarify our stances towards each other in this context.
Fair enough, but I don't think that this, like the subjects that I want to deal with don't really relate to me as a person. It relates more so to the whole drama and the situation that's come about. So I was just interested in finding out if you would be interested. If you're not, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not
I
interested
appreciate-
mostly because I
appreciate the
don't have
consideration.
the time. But you know, if you were to in some way inspire confidence in me that your show was worth going on, or that, you know, doing an interview with you would benefit me in any way, then maybe I'd consider it.
All right, fair enough. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll catch you later.
All right. Any other fucking heavy hitters in there?
I'm checking right now.
If not, we can just, you know, bring in some
let's
randos.
bring in some regular people.
Well, we've had too many return customers on this show, I think.
All right, I'm gonna bring in Tsar of Russia.
All right. I don't know who that is.
Hello, could you hear me?
Yes, Tsar of Russia. What do you want to argue
Okay,
about?
so in your recent video, you said you didn't believe in the concept of gender, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna argue that gender is real.
All right.
So,
Swing.
are you one of the people who thinks gender and sex aren't the same thing, or?
Well, I mean, the only purpose of the word gender is to be distinct from the word sex. So yes, I would say that I believe that.
Okay, so my argument is gonna be: do you think language is real?
Well, I mean, what do you mean by real?
Does it exist? Because you said you don't think gender exists.
I would say that language exists, yes.
Okay, well, gender is a linguistic concept, as in he
Okay.
is, as in the word he is of male gender, and the word she is of female gender.
Yeah.
For example, in languages like German, different words have different genders, right?
Yes, that's fair.
So my argument is that gender does in fact exist because the words like that have genders just by definition.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, how about I amend my statement to that gender as identity shouldn't exist.
Oh, okay. You think it shouldn't exist?
Yes.
Okay, I could argue about that about that too. So
All right,
I'm
if you
gonna argue that gender is a useful way to organize society.
I think that it can be useful, and it has been useful, but at present its use is waning, and in many ways I think it causes more problems than it does
Okay, so, well, okay, I'll argue the main use of gender really
All right.
is just through the nuclear family, right? Like people use gender to identify, and then they build nuclear families which form the basis of society.
Yeah.
So I'd argue that yes, the usefulness of gender.
I think it's a
as,
huge
something-
problem that the nuclear family forms the basis of society. I think that's what we need to be doing away with.
Do you think there's ever been a successful society that the nuclear family wasn't the basis of?
Not yet. But there
Okay,
will be.
so what would make you think there could be one?
I think that we are approaching an era in which individuals and the specificity of being individual is going to become paramount going forward. Where we're in a society where we are going to increasingly have less concern over resource management, less concern over like factory production jobs, because of the fact that we are we're finding ways to let robots and computers do more and more of the work for us. So there's not this necessity for us to have this nuclear family that is just like a unit that is self-satisfied by, you know, by its mere existence. Going into the future, we're going to need people who are embracing whatever makes them weird, because that's where innovation and evolution comes from. And as the technological singularity approaches, that evolution becomes more and more the forefront of what brings change in society. And so that's why I think that increasingly we should have less focus on the current social paradigms and more focus on figuring out what paradigm will allow for, you know, the faster growth of future technology.
Okay, so I will agree that individuality can be useful, but the place where you're going wrong is by throwing all, I guess, collectivism. Though I wouldn't like to call it that, because it's I guess not. For example, a murderer is unique in that most people haven't killed somebody, right?
Right.
But we wouldn't say that they're good just because they're unique.
No,
right?
no. I mean, I don't think that anyone is a murderer. To have performed murder makes you a murderer. You might have a psychological predisposition to being a murderer, but if we can rectify that, if we can make sure you don't do that, you will not be a murderer. You see what I'm saying? So like I think.
But isn't what people do more important than what they are?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if we were to take somebody who is predisposed to murder, and we were to tell them like, hey, like that might be something that you feel like you can and should do, but here's a better application of that unique mindset you have. You know, if we could find that, we can, like, we don't have to let people be unique necessarily on their own terms, because as a society we don't do that. We lock up people who are unique in a bad way. So as long, I think we're fine on that regard. I don't think we need to change anything about that. We don't have to just full bore embrace all uniqueness, but I do think that we should be embracing any uniqueness that is not harmful to other people, you know?
Okay, well, so if we look at it, people who do not grow up in, like, nuclear families tend to have the worst life outcomes. Or, for example, people who grow up without a father in their house are more likely to commit crimes.
But that's because they live in a society, in this society, the society that is built around the nuclear family. If we can modify society to not, to not penalize those people, then they won't have this issue.
Okay, well, I guess I'll make a biological argument. So,
alright.
You know how some animals, like fish, they just have their kids and they just dump them by the wayside?
Yeah.
Well, animals like humans, one of the main things that separates us from, other animals is that we care for our children, right?
Yeah.
So the nuclear family is the vehicle of us fulfilling that biological
But it
goal.
doesn't have to, it's not the only way, clearly, especially not in modern society. I mean, like, in the beginning, we had to huddle together for warmth, but now we got space heaters. So it's like, you don't need You don't like. There's plenty of people out there right now who are successful and live alone. You know, who don't have a family, who never develop a family, and who still manage to contribute something to society. So we can't say that the nuclear family is necessary right now. It might be helpful overall, and it might make you less likely to fall through the cracks in this current society. But that society could be modified.
So do you know anything? Can you come up with any specific way of organizing and just well, because obviously not everybody has to get married. But we're just talking about the decide to have children. So can you think of any better method of organizing how people have children, how people reproduce?
I think
because
I think that we're in a situation right now where there was a time when we just needed everybody to make as many babies as possible because having more people was just net good. Now we're not in that position anymore. We have too many people, we can't service all of them within our society, and we don't need more of them to make advancements as a society. What we need is them to be better educated, them to to be more prepared to deal with a technologically driven world. So what I would advise is that people who are not in a position where they are capable, like where they are willing, able, and good at raising kids, if you're not those types of people, just don't. You should focus on something else,
Well, actually, a lot of countries are. Well, okay, so obviously so when you're saying that people are having, when there's too many people, so you could argue something like that for a country like Ethiopia where people are starving. Mm-hmm. However, in a lot of developed countries and first world countries, they're having the problem where people are not having enough kids. So, for example, two good examples are Germany and Japan, right?
Right.
So these countries, because they're not having many kids, their population is aging, and because their population is aging, it's putting pressure on their pension programs and on their social security programs.
True. Yeah. Here's a question: do those countries deserve to exist necessarily?
Yes.
Because, like, Japan should probably just, like, move to the mainland, dude. Because that shit's gonna sink into the ocean, and, it's...
That's not for quite a while. That's not anywhere. That's not in our great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren's lifetime.
I'm just saying they should start getting to work on that.
But why would they want to give up their country?
Well, they wouldn't, but, like, that's unfortunate that they don't want to, because it would be a good idea probably.
So are you arguing against the idea of countries existing, or?
I think it would be helpful if rather than countries, we just had like an endless array of extremely small governmental communities. So
you're arguing that we should just for sake of scale, so should these communities be 1 million people, 1,000 people?
Like 150 people.
100? Okay, so you think we should organize in groups of 150?
Yes, in accordance with Dunbar's number.
Oh, as in like 150 people, or the most you can know.
Yeah, the most that you can have meaningful connections with. So let's say that for every 150 people we had, like, a few doctors, a few psychologists, a few teachers, and then everyone else fulfills whatever other roles are needed in this particular area, because, geography-wise, like, different people in different places have different needs. And this is a big problem with the concept of countries, especially one like America, where it's so fucking big that the needs of one community are completely unserviced by the federal government, and even the states. A lot of them are too fucking big to really set rules, especially ones where there's big urban areas and then an entire fucking country of wetland that has no ideological or sociological similarity to that big city, such as New York. These are just like badly drawn out ideas of how what's the word I'm looking for? Just a small government is all I'm trying to say. Hey, libertarians, let's go.
Well, a small government's different than a government that rules over a few people, but so here's where you're wrong.
I know that, by the way, but I meant both. Like, I want.
Okay. So, sorry, but So you think it's convenient how like if you're in New York you could use the same currency as if you're in LA?
Yeah, I mean we could just have a global currency, you know?
But how would you stop people from counterfeiting it?
Well,
and remember, currency is just one example.
Let's go back to the barter system, or let's just use cryptocurrencies. You can't fucking.
Okay.
You can't.
So,
I don't think you can fake a cryptocurrency, can you?
But what stops people from just creating their own currencies and massive inflation?
Well, logic, educating people not to do that.
How are you going to educate people not to do that if there's not a centralized government to do so?
By having, you know, just like make people smart and like.
Yeah, well, if it was that easy just to make people smart. I'm
Never
sure
said anything was easy. We're talking about ideals here.
Okay. So I have another question. This is the big one. What stops somebody from just deciding, all right, I'm gonna warmonger, I'm just gonna conquer the world, because now that there's, you know, America doesn't exist, Russia doesn't exist, so I should just be able to steamroll through these 150 people communities.
I mean, you can try, but like we are at a point in society where nuclear weapons exist. If anyone has them, everyone's fucked. So let's just say every 150 person community has their own nuclear bomb.
What if an insane person winds up in charge of the 150 person community?
Well, then he'll probably nuke something and everyone in the world will die.
Okay.
Let's try to keep insane people out of the government.
Well, here's the thing. So if we're dividing into communities of 150, and every community of 150 has a nuke, and there's 7 billion people, right?
Well,
so
there probably won't be as many by this point.
Divided by 100.
Are you still there? Did he cut out for you?
Yep.
Am I still there?
You are still there.
Am I still in this available in the stream? Well, let's give him like 10 seconds and see if he reappears. If not, we'll have to kick him. This is an entertaining debate.
Alright, do you want me to...
I'm looking at the chat, they're just like, this is fucking retarded.
Yeah.
I love it. Who were you saying we could bring in?
Anybody else? There's a bunch of people who want to be
people are saying, I see bring in Ray the Offbeat Otaku. I think that's a YouTuber of some denomination. Let's bring him in.
Alright.
Hello?
Hello?
Is this Ray the Offbeat Otaku?
Yes.
What's going on? What you want to argue about?
So last time I was on,
yes,
bring in some, quote, spicy Coheed and Cambria opinions.
Oh.
But I'm gonna subvert expectations. I'm deconstructing the podcast. Instead, I'm gonna tell you how your content needs to be again.
Oh, another one of these, huh? All right.
Actually, I'm kind of memeing.
Oh, okay.
So, because before I want to talk about hyperbole.
Mm-hmm.
You overuse it, and I'm not sure if you use it well. Like,
okay. I've gotten so much better about it since my youth, but I'm sure I do still abuse it.
Okay, well, like your Twitter. Your Twitter is starting to turn into Nino's Twitter.
Yeah. A little bit.
That's not good because
but it's like Nino's Twitter
if
it was like if it was like not shit though.
Kind of. I mean, I feel like you're doing this thing now where you try to word everything in the most hype, hot take, like you're the hype man on a SoundCloud mixtape way, and
yeah.
I'm like, and I feel like it kind of makes your arguments worse.
Well, the thing is,
like it makes you harder to side with.
The thing
and,
is
like,
that it makes
you
people
already have.
It makes people start arguing with me, though. That's the thing. Like,
but you already have such a big audience that people are gonna argue with you anyway. You have a whole show where people argue.
If I come out and I'm like, "Hey guys, maybe we should reconsider gender," then they're just gonna be like, "Okay." But if I'm like, gender isn't even fucking real, you dummies. And then they're gonna be like, but, and then they're gonna respond, and then when I respond, I can, you know, like, explain myself, and then they have to now actually realize that they have to think in order to, you know, continue the argument. Because when
Sorry.
Yeah. No, just when you come out swinging like that, people just assume you're a fucking idiot, but then when they have to then, like, because they think that, they feel disarmed, and they just come at you. They just fucking spring into action. But then, when you start hitting them with the logic that they don't see coming, they're like, oh, fuck. Now I have to, like, formulate thoughts. And that's when you get them. That's when you snare their ass.
Okay, see, I can see that. But then you don't need to keep swinging. You could just swing once and get the job done.
I suppose so. I'm trying to live my life more like a samurai. One strike, one kill, but you know, it takes a while. It takes a lot of training.
Okay, but just like, you know, I feel like, you know, if you know, that point about political protests, or just like processions, you could have just said like, hey, people who are doing this are making life harder for everyone, and it's fucking everything up. You didn't have to say, these people are terrorists.
But that was how I felt in my heart, because I was trying to get May to a goddamn doctor's appointment, and all these fucking people were in the road on the only road I had to go down. And so I'm like driving all over town trying to find another fucking road, trying to get to a doctor appointment on time, and I'm just like, how would this be helpful for any, like, who would witness this happening and be like, I'm gonna take those guys' side, you know? Like, and I mean, the tactic is literally to piss people off and make them listen to you, and like, it's the same theory on which terrorism is built. You know, it's not necessarily it's not necessarily intended specifically to evoke terror, but it can, and it has a lot of negative consequences. Like, you know, there's plenty of reasons that being trapped for hours can negatively impact your life in deeper ways than might be expected. And like, when people like just brush it off like it's no big deal, like, oh, you're just selfish because you just want everything to be like convenient for you. It's like, this isn't necessarily a matter of convenience. There can be consequences for this, you know, such as I have to now pay a few $100s in late fines to a doctor or something, you know. Maybe I don't have a few $100s. Maybe I'm late on rent. Maybe I get evicted for that, you know.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying, I feel like this is kind of a problem that you have just in general, like with people understanding you. Like, I know that you're not going to sue a 15-year-old kid who's just like some random troll that nobody actually cares about. But he doesn't know that because he doesn't know you. Or like when you were on the A1 Pictures
he seemed
podcast,
pretty confident that I wasn't going to sue him. He seemed to think I would not do that. But I want him...
He seems too smug about winning to fully think that you're not going to sue it.
I just think that the tactic there is simply that I want this kid to understand that there is consequences. And that, I guess that's always what I'm trying to go for here, is that, like, if you don't make it sound grave, if you don't present the full brunt of, like, the rage that I feel, then like, I want these people to understand that this isn't something to be flippant about. This isn't something to just be like, oh, let's all be cordial because that's how you talk on the internet. It's like, no, this has real life consequences, and I'm going to treat it as such, you know?
Yeah, but still, I just feel like sometimes you can word yourself very eloquently, and then other times you just kind of like throw things out there.
Yeah.
And I feel like it usually just kind of, I feel like all it ends up doing is just making you lose more credibility.
I have a
lot of people already think you have no credibility, and that's something that I sometimes worry about, because that our anime mindset of, oh, this is a Digibro thing, I'm not going to take that seriously,
Right.
is spreading further and further.
I think that those people are, I mean, first of all, I would encourage to attack that behavior. If people think that way, I would want to let them know that that is a wrong way of thinking. But it's also just that the way I look at my opinions and the things I say online is more of a long view. It's like, I know I can phrase this stupidly now and then clarify it later, you know? And as long as, because it's not as though I say this thing and that's the last thing I'm ever allowed to say. I can always just come back. And that's kind of why this show exists, is so that people who get pissed off at me because I made a spicy hot take about them can come and, like, clarify their differences and then walk away going, huh, okay, well, now I understand the full nuanced perspective of what he meant there, you know?
Okay.
But, like...
Still, though,
I agree that I don't need to be as spicy as I am. I will concede to that. Because
I like that you said spicy, because now we've brought this full circle. Too bad I still have another topic.
All right.
The other topic that I had in mind, this was kind of a response to the last episode of this show, because when you were on there, you were talking to that one guy who was talking about how you changed. And at some point, you said, well, a lot of my old content was about getting people to understand me.
Mm-hmm.
But now, people do understand me.
Yeah.
So I don't need to do that. And it's like, no, people understood you a year ago, so you didn't have to do that. But I feel like now you almost do have to almost do that again, because, like, I don't think you've changed for the worse or the better or whatever, but I think it's undeniable to say that you've changed and that's confused quite a bit of your audience.
So to clarify what I meant by that,
okay,
because I agree with that statement, that yes, I need to clarify things for my audience. But what I meant before was not necessarily for my audience. It was that I felt the need to be understood so that I could feel acceptance. That I felt as though my stance on anime or my place within the community was something that was rejected on the whole. And that sort of came from back in my early anime blogging days and on my forum days. You know, most people would have one of a few formulated sort of identities of how they present themselves as an anime fan. Like, I'm only into manly shows. I'm only into moe shows. I am this type of otaku. I'm categorically this. And I never fit into any of those categories, and I was very open because that's just how I've always been. I've never been somebody who is going to, like, shy away from my opinion so that I fit into a group. I would prefer to find people who actually share my opinion and form a group around that, you know? Not necessarily one with a label, but just one where I could feel accepted. And so, even though I eventually I got a lot of that acceptance from just the fact that I made these videos and people agreed with me on a lot of things and people enjoyed my perspective, but I felt unaccepted by the anime YouTube community because those were my peers and they were the ones who were still, like, not really acknowledging my contributions or just generally, you know, just treating me the same way the anime bloggers had back in the day. And so I still felt that sense of, like, needing to correct something. And it became more that I was trying to correct critics even than other fans. Like, I had so many videos that were just about how everyone is critiquing anime wrong, you know?
Yeah.
But now that I feel that I have achieved that acceptance from, you know, from May, basically, I don't think I need to make those types of videos for myself anymore, is what I meant by saying that I don't have to make those types of videos. I do have to still do it for the audience, though, because, yeah, like you said, I've changed now in ways that I have to catch people up with me and make them understand where I'm coming from now. Helpfully, I'm currently writing a book that is basically about my entire stance on the whole fucking world. It is just gonna make everything perfectly clear finally. So that's part of why I've been doing these spicy memes on Twitter is that I'm kind of trying to see how people will react to some of these things that in my book will be presented with way more nuance and careful wording, but it's like, how will people react if I say it this way? You know, like, and how careful do I need to be?
So,
you know?
So it's all just a social experiment?
Yeah, I would say, I would say all language is a social experiment.
Oh, man.
How's
I mean,
that?
you're not wrong, but that's pretty spicy.
That is pretty fucking spicy.
You know, speaking of, okay, actually, I have a question about this book.
Yeah.
Is that book fiction or nonfiction?
It is nonfiction. It's basically like a Gecko Estate vlog in book form. And also,
Nice.
I'm almost done with it. It's gonna be pretty short. It's gonna be more of like a pamphlet / novella size, I guess. Because it just didn't take as long to summarize my thoughts on the world as I thought it would. But yeah. So the book's approaching completion. It's called Fix That For Ya, a Gonzo Diatribe Blueprint Edition.
Yeah. That's about all I had to say.
All right.
Couple quick, two quick things. One, just speaking of books, thanks for letting me so blatantly shill my own book last time I was on here.
No problem. Did it help?
It did get me some more followers to my Twitter.
Hey.
And also I want to give a shout out to Zelsk in the chat there. He's the guy who always does the timestamps and is also just generally a cool person.
Yes,
No
big
one's
shout out
given
for
him-
the timestamps for sure.
No one's given him a shout out. I want to rectify that.
Well, thank you. I'm glad someone
Yeah.
did. All right.
Nice talking with you again, Digi.
Yeah, that was good. Let's bring in the next contender.
Ben Saint's in here. Do you want to bring?
Hey,
him
let's
in?
bring in Ben fucking Saint.
All right. Is he still in
He might just be in there to listen though, for
No,
all we
I'm just
know.
making sure that. Oh yeah, he's still in here.
Well, you know, I've never known Ben to be less than 10 minutes late for anything, so.
Hey.
Hey,
Am I in?
You're
Am I
in, Ben. What do you want to argue about?
Digi, I got a fucking bone to pick with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to the Formless cast, or the first one or whatever. And I demand more credit. I demand more credit for the Rowdy Fuckers Discord. That is my baby. I am the ideas man. I am the ultimate architect of endless sport.
How did I just make it sound like it was all Munchie?
A bit, not entirely, but a bit, you know.
Okay.
You were like, Mo, Munchie's a genius. He's creating this endless war thing, and I think Munchie is a genius. I mean, he's 17, and I feel like he's been operating at an adult level for years.
Yeah.
So I won't disagree on that point. However, endless war is my baby. Endless war is my baby.
Yeah.
And I'm its father, and Crack is its mother in the sense that he's the one who's going through the actual labor of producing it and bringing it into the world.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit I don't know enough about the Rowdy Fuckers Cop Killers world and background and development history to truly make the kind of comments on it that I might have.
It's understandable. I understand why you felt that way, because aesthetically it is Munchie's thing. Like Munchie is the designer, is like the original inspiration of the aesthetics of the world and all that. Design wise, I'm the one. I'm typing up documents. I'm typing up documents every night, being like, oh, what if there was a 50% chance that you would find a hat when you go digging in the dirt or something. Yeah, so I demand my accolades.
All right. It's just weird. I guess the reason that I assume that I like to attribute it to Munchie is that, to me, any technology that I've been familiar with for less than 5 years is young people shit. So to me, Discord is like young people shit, and you're like old people shit. So like... So I just assume that it's all the child's doing, but you're just a man who has never let the inner child suffocate, you know.
I don't think so. So when I realized that there are Discords where people play D&D and shit, and I was like, well, all right, the possibility space here is robust.
Yeah,
it's robust. Everybody join my Discord. Somebody post a link to the Discord in the chat. Saintcomics.com, patreon.com/bensate, twitch.tv/saintcomics. 9/11 was an inside job. John fucked Susie, and I'm out.
Yeah, there goes Ban Saint.
Alright.
I like how he still brings in John fucked Susie in his list of conspiracies. Oh, it's beautiful.
Let's bring in Row fight the power.
Row, fight the power! Is he gonna do the impossible and see the invisible?
Oh, he muted himself.
Is he gonna touch the untouchable, break the unbreakable? Is what he gonna do? Just break the rules and then see the truth?
Press QQ.
Is he the
Hello?
Yes.
Hey, what's going on? What you want to argue
Hey,
about?
can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Hey, Digi, how's it going? I'm a longtime fan. I've been a patron of yours for the past 9 months.
Well, this sounds like a losing argument already, but what do you want to argue about?
No, so I guess I'm more interested when it comes to the persona of Digi and like the Digibro After Dark channel of Digibro, right?
Uh-huh.
So I guess I'm not as interested in anime, but when it comes to anime, I feel like the genre has somewhat been stagnant, right? Can we agree on that?
We'll say medium, not genre, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay. So pretty much my thing is I feel like you can draw a lot of more outside influences on what's maybe influenced anime and bring it into your content to make it better. In terms of, I was watching one of these debate streams the other week, and you said that you'd never seen the movie Alien.
Yes. In spite of the fact that I have listened to full commentaries on it and watched dozens of analysis videos about it.
Yeah, but I feel like that's not the same as watching it.
Yeah,
you know.
And I actually have seen the first like half hour of it when I was like 12, but it bored me to tears at the time. But I mean, back then all I watched was samurai shit, so like that is not a surprise.
Yeah, I mean your tastes will change because you know you were 12, right?
I'd like to watch Alien. I probably should. I love Ridley Scott.
I love Ridley Scott too. So what I'm saying is that, you know, I think that instead of using your time, say, to watch every single anime of the week, right, which we can say is probably not that good, through, say, bringing in influences of like watching Alien, seeing the movie, and understanding how it's impacted anime as a medium, it would not only push yourself as an artist further, but would I guess there's no other. It would just push you as an artist.
A lot of the reason that I don't like to do stuff like that is that any of those really big influential movies, they get talked about a lot. You know, like, I don't know what I can contribute to the conversation on Alien that hasn't been said about it. Like, the impact it's had on anime is the exact same as the impact it's had on everything else. It you know, it was revolutionary for its tone and the approach to sci-fi horror. Like, I don't think that the things it might have inspired in anime would necessarily be, you know, like, unique to the medium. I mean, if you were to watch Super Bunny Hop's video on the influence of Alien on video games, that is a deeply fascinating video that I think, like, I will never be able to top that by talking about anime, you know, in terms of in relation to that movie.
I see the lineage of what you do. You know, you understand, oh, hey, this influencer, say, like, the director of, I don't know, like Gurren Lagann, drew directly from this influence, right?
Right.
And then I guess where I'm more interested is, okay, then where did that guy draw from outside of that?
Well, I mean, example, that's Turtles all the way down. You can go forever that way, you know?
Yeah, but I feel like analyzing that will push yourself further as an artist instead of just watching generic A1 pictures.
Okay, well, for what it's worth, I only watch the generic shows for money. Like, I have to talk about anime.
What I'm saying is, I think my opinion matters because I give you money. I'm the guy who gives you the money.
That's true.
And I give you money at a higher tier than probably most people.
Okay, so exactly, frame for me exactly what kind of video are you imagining that would be, like, ideal? And I mean, how what is the sustainability of continuing to do this type of video?
So what I'm saying is, like, for example, have you seen an Akira Kurosawa film, right?
You know, I actually haven't watched any Akira Kurosawa films. Have seen a lot of analysis videos.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is like Akira Kurosawa is not only so influential in his own realm of film, that has totally influenced so much anime. And I think that, you know, through watching the Akira Kurosawa film, like say Rashomon, you'd understand, oh, instantly this scene that I've seen in another anime makes sense.
I mean, I would say I've been analyzing how Hayao Miyazaki borrows from Akira Kurosawa's film style just on the basis of Every Frame of Painting's video about Akira Kurosawa. Because he does copy a lot of his techniques of, like, using a large number of people to, you know, convey an emotion more powerfully and stuff like that.
Yeah, or, you know, like, say, have you seen Tokyo Drifter?
No.
Are you aware of Tokyo Drifter?
No, I've never heard of it. What is it?
It's essentially what helped inspire Lupin the Third. It's the same exact style, not same exact style, but it's extremely influential on the series. It's even influential in Tarantino, and I think that movie's considered a masterpiece. It's a Criterion film. I think that by you spending your time watching Tokyo Drifter, you would gain more from that as an artist than, say, spending 3 hours of your day just watching whatever anime of the week.
I mean, I think that first of all, I agree completely, and I typically try to watch more classics, though I've always been kind of limiting myself to the realm of anime because there's just a more clear chain, not only a chain of influence, but like I know that I can find something to say unique about it. Like if I were to go watch a bunch of classic shows, which towards the back end of last year I was like really obsessively watching 70s and 80s anime movies, and it was like I got a lot out of that. I learned a lot of influence. I got to read a lot of interviews and stuff from, you know.
I also gained a lot from that, which I really appreciate your work on that. That's why I patron you, because, you know, I'm really inspired.
I do think that there is a value in looking at the trends as they continue and, like, you know, saying, well, here's where it's going at the moment. Here's who's doing things right. Here's who's doing things wrong. And for the record, with the Anime of the Week show, part of the idea of it is that I will not be watching all the new anime for very long, because most of them get dropped, you know.
I just think that, you know, anime as a genre right now, for me personally, has sort of stagnated. I've lost interest in it, and it hasn't really pulled me back in. And, you know, even watching your weekly reviews, I'm like, man, I would gain so much more from, say, watching any Criterion classic than this generic anime trash.
I just think I just don't think that there's much that I can add to the conversation about a Criterion classic, because there's already people talking about them, you know? Like, there's already more capable filmmakers out there writing in-depth analysis about these movies. And, like, some of them, yes, have had influence on anime. And granted, someone like Akira Kurosawa, yeah, I should probably watch some of his movies, because they obviously have or Yasujiro Ozu, I should probably watch more of his movies, because they have a huge influence on the way that anime presents, like, the, what do you call, like, a stopgap shot? Like, just, you know, like, images of phone lines and stuff like that. Like, that's an Ozu thing that is in, like, all anime.
Any sort of classic film cinematography is gonna influence everything forward, right? So I guess, ultimately, that's just, you know, I really like you as an artist, and I see that consuming and understanding and going further down the hole of understanding these people's influences would help you grow a lot as an artist. But again, this is me telling you what I feel.
I agree with you completely on that position. I think that the biggest problem I have as an artist is that I am not multiple people, because
I mean it always comes down to time allocation, right?
Yeah, and it's difficult because it's not just a matter of like my job time, but everything else in my life, you know. So like every week it's like, here's how much time there is for anime, and I don't tend to approach that with much of a plan. I probably could do more of that. I could probably say, hey, every week I'm gonna make sure I watch one classic movie this week, so that I'm not just consuming popcorn trash. or vice versa. Like sometimes I get into where I'm only watching old shit and then nobody can relate to me anymore and I lose subscribers, you know? So, and granted, I could probably frame my discussion of the old media in a way that's more inviting, but, you know, there's always things to work through. It's just a matter of finding the time to actually consider how.
I support you. I'm just a patron, and as someone who also creates art, I think that, you know, like, drawing influence from outside of anime, obviously through, like, you know, real life experience, but beyond that, through kind of branching further into film for you, I think would really help.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I've always felt bad about how little movies I've seen, and part of it for me is also that it's like, you know, it's a little embarrassing to get involved with something that you don't fully understand or are bad at, because like I just never really liked movies growing, like, until recently. I always had a problem with films because I liked long form media. I like to form like connections with characters and you know, see them in all these various circumstances. So like most of my favorite anime you know, tend to be stuff that is at least 13 episodes to 26. There's very few anime films that I really love until recently, when I started getting like super into Miyazaki and like realizing that the great thing about film is that it usually compresses a lot more depth into the images than TV anime is likely to do, you know. So therefore you might watch an hour-and-a-half long Ghibli film that has more to say than a 50 episode TV show. So I am more inclined to check out films now. So basically I'm going to take your advice, and I'm going to dedicate myself to watch at least one classic movie every week. How's that sound?
That sounds great. I really appreciate that, man. And it feels good to hear your feedback, and knowing that you also feel that it would be helpful.
Yeah.
I think beyond that, the only other critique I have is, you know, in my free time, I do music on a professional level, and I really like your music, but there's times where it clearly sounds rushed, and I think that, you know, for me, Gay and Dead was really good. Like, I really think that Gay and Dead was sort of your first project that really came together and is really cohesive, and I think that some of the beats are okay, but I feel that a lot of your weakness as an artist comes from your beat selection. And I get that a lot of the stuff you wrapped up the last EP I didn't really care for, because I felt that it kind of felt rushed, and Shade's beats sounded like B-sides, what you said. But I think that through finding a better producer, you could really push yourself further.
I completely agree. Here's the problem. The problem with the beats is that all I did was just use literally every beat that Shade and Blind Skywatcher made.
I get that. And what I'm saying is, although that's great, I want to hear more solid full projects that really sound fleshed out.
Connect me with the producer. Like, I don't... The problem is I don't know anybody.
That's me. I am a producer.
Well, send me some beats, and if I like them, I'll rap over them. I'm trying to remember even what was the last EP that you're referring to.
I think Ghost of Midwinter Fallers.
Yeah, see, with that one, it was, a lot of it was literally like just like stuff that I dug up that Shade had made like years ago that I thought I couldn't rap over before, and then like basically I was just trying to make it like a tone piece, so I was less concerned about like individually the quality of the beats and more about whether they fit the narrative of the EP. But yeah, it was definitely like just the leftovers for a lot of it.
And you need to get some sort of mastering software, is what I need to say.
I don't even comprehend I don't even know what mastering is. What is it?
I mean, it's essentially the process of like compressing a track, maximizing it, EQing it in the super high and low frequencies, mixing and flushing out everything.
Isn't that something that like is an entire job that like has an industry around it? Like, is that something I can learn on my own?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a dark art in terms of there are objective ways to do it, but everyone sort of figures out their own way to do it. So it's sort of just you have to learn over time. There is a software you can get called Isotope 7 specifically, that has specific presets that you can just use for mastering tracks. I think even just like taking the effort to get that and slapping a generic preset on the master bus would like make your stuff sound really good.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that now that you've given me a actual program title. Someone, was it you who, I'm assuming not because I feel like you would have mentioned it, but someone did master that EP.
That wasn't me, but like if you ever want tracks mastered, feel free to just email me them.
Yeah,
in terms
like,
of
someone just said like, hey, I noticed that this EP was like most likely unmastered, and then he went and just like I guess just ran it through a generic master, but I didn't like the way it sounded as much as the original. But I mean, obviously if I can work on it, if I can actually work with someone or do it myself, I can find a way to master it that might suit my taste. I just have up to now have no concept of what mastering even is.
Yeah, and like beyond that too, like warping the audio, so you know like specific snippets of your rap always fall on time. In terms of like, I hear it and I hear one long continuous take, and some of it flows off.
Yeah.
Rhythm, which is fine if you want that to be an artistic choice, but there's some moments where it's clearly not an artistic choice.
Yeah, and I'm very a lot of the problem in my raps is that I'm fucking lazy, and like I often just do one take and then just publish, and then actually a few of my songs I've been going back and redoing before the music video. Like if you watch the All of a Sudden video, it's a totally different take from the original release on SoundCloud. I still am not completely satisfied with it, but it was a better take. So yeah, it's sort of that with my music, it's only post Gay and Dead that anyone has had enough of a positive response towards my music for me to even consider taking it seriously. Because like up until that point, nothing I did was like exactly praised by anybody at all. I mean, Bedroom Bedrock had a few fans, but like it was still very much like a contentious, like some people were kind of into it, and most of them were people who said, I don't really listen to rap music, but I like this, you know? So, and that's like, well, great. That just means that you like the things I'm talking about because you're someone who's of a similar mindset to me, but you don't really know anything about the music itself, you know? So, so it's not until Gay and Dead came out that there was enough positive response to my work that I went, oh my god, maybe I can produce music. So yeah, I would like to put more effort into it in the future.
And cool. And other than that, that's all I have. Just, you know, wanted to give some advice to see you push yourself as an artist further, because that's really what I like seeing. I'm more interested in the cult of Digibro than
I tell you what, your fucking criticism is some of the most constructive I've gotten in a long time. So, thank you.
I mean, what I'm trying to contribute is, you know, I guess a lot of the debates on here haven't been that good because it's just random people coming in, right? So it's like, in the same time, you could be doing something more productive or get more productive feedback.
Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to do.
I'm glad.
Cool.
I mean, the last episode was kind of a shit show because we didn't really announce it. It was kind of last minute, and I just wanted to get the ball rolling again. Tonight was kind of last minute too, but I just was excited to have Turkey Tom on.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of my thoughts. It's really infuriating being like waiting in line and just hearing some dude go on some theoretical diatribe about anything. It's just like, oh my god, dude, what are you talking about? Put some like actual feedback or criticism. Or
I feel
cool.
I mean, it's hard to it's hard to find a way to vet the guests on the show without like I don't want to. I kind of want it to be a free-for-all so that every perspective gets heard. It's just unfortunate that sometimes that means you're gonna get like just the stupidest motherfucker in the world, you know. But
yeah, luck of the draw, man.
Yeah. All right.
Perfect.
Well, we gotta get you the fuck out of here. Bring somebody in who wants to argue about something.
Yep.
What time is it?
Cool. Thank you.
It's 9:40.
It's 9:40. I'm gonna bring in Roro Fight the Power. They're alive.
All right.
Hello?
Hello, you're live this time.
I'm live this time. I'm so sorry. I didn't have that set out. But no one cares. I'm gonna come in hot now. So, Digibro.
Yes.
Just a little bit ago, you said that you're not into the nuclear family and that it's like a bad thing, right? with that in mind, I was curious. Why are you getting married?
That has nothing to do with the nuclear family.
I would argue it has everything to do with the nuclear family.
Okay.
The idea is that, hold on, I'm getting, yeah, I know, dude. Okay. Is that
you sound a lot like Vita, by the way.
It is, and I apologize. Anyways, the idea is that the entire idea of marriage is that it is a political tool which is used to try to enforce
Yes. Of what? Are you still there? Are you getting distracted by whoever was trying to call you or whatever? I think we've lost.
I apologize. The idea of marriage is that it is a political tool to be used to try to enforce specific social norms. And so with that in mind, I do think that the biggest use of it is to try to enforce the idea of the nuclear family.
All right, well, let me tell you right now why I want to get married, because I don't necessarily think that marriage as a concept has much meaning, but in the society we happen to live in, if you don't get married, I won't be able to watch my child get born, because they will not let me in the hospital if I am not either blood related or or married. So to me, it seems I also will get tax benefits. So like, getting married has practical applications. Now, granted, it's definitely a tactic to encourage marriage by the government to do these things. But while I might be working within the system with the hope of subverting it, the system is as it stands, and I would be remiss not to get married with the things I'm planning on doing with my life and my relationship, is basically what I'm saying.
Well, and I'm not here to try to tell you to don't do things that do make you happy, but would you also agree that alternatively you could try to push instead for society to try to be a bit more open-minded, either through specific legislation or like what is societally appropriate when it comes to the idea of you can be with someone and be an important person to them and not be married. So like,
yeah, and I mean there is common law marriage where if you live with somebody for 10 years, then you're considered to be common law married to them in certain states. So there is some.
Why are you pushing to be married specifically when that has a lot of downsides?
What are the downsides?
Instead of just, oh my, okay. Well, one, when you do celebrate marriage, it's a celebration of the institution of marriage, and that historically has been a tool to keep down a lot of people.
I don't care about what it was historically. Like, it's what is it right now.
And I totally understand if you do not agree with that. That's a bit of an ideological approach. But essentially, one, when you promise to get married, you're promising a thing so far into the future that no one really has any kind of a sense for.
What do you mean?
And I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm not telling you to not do that. But I do find it incredibly irresponsible to the other person that you might be promising that to.
Why? What's irresponsible about wanting to get married? I don't understand what you're saying.
The idea is that if you really love a person, you shouldn't have to have them sign a legal document that says you will never leave me.
I agree. I don't think you should need that. However, again, there are so many benefits to being married just by way of like what the government will do for you and like what hospitals will do for you that they won't do if you're not. That I think that
instead, why are we not fighting to overturn those things?
We can fight for those things, but I'm saying that in the meantime, like, I don't think just because I get married means I can't fight against the way that marriage is perceived in society. Like, I don't have to like that I have
directly
to do it.
into those ideas and those specific concepts.
What do you mean by
like,
buying into?
You are supporting the institution of marriage by getting married, and the idea that you need it as a part of society.
I'm also supporting the institution of taxes by paying taxes. I don't believe in them, but if I don't pay them, then I will get in trouble with the government, and it will cause me more harm than good. Like, I don't think you can completely... Like, I don't think that just non-participation in a system is going to solve the problem of that you have to live your life, you know?
Saying, but I guess for you it is entirely because it is more practical at the moment.
Yeah, I would say it's mostly a practicality thing. I mean, I don't think either of us feels that we need to get married to prove anything, but we feel that
that's awesome. That's great. So then also, like, not to throw any shade on any relationship, because I would say this about all of them, even my own specifically, but like with that in mind, with all of the rising divorce levels and specific rates and such, would you also say that like if you did get married, it would be worth it if even like 15 years and you do get divorced and you do have to go through all of that struggle and all of that
I mean, I live for the moment. I don't expect that to happen, so I think it would be weird of me to take action with the expectation of something
by
that I don't...
definition you don't know, because that's future Digibro.
Sure, future Digibro can deal with his problems.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna.
That's fair, man.
I mean, maybe I'm gonna get hit by a car 10 years from now, but I can't really plan around that, can I? I'm not gonna I'm not gonna base what I do now around the conception that I could, fuck up in the future.
I would also argue that the idea that you don't plan on a car is significantly less likely than you being the 20% of people who are happily married their entire lives, like statistically. I mean, I don't have the actual
big statistic. I mean, consider these statistics. Consider that people who are more likely to live that type of lifestyle would be people who have experience with seeing that type of relationship in their own lives. My parents have been happily married for 27 years. So, to me, I've grown up with that conception of what a relationship is, and it feels more natural to me to participate in something that way. I definitely think that there are certain people who, in the same way that the most people who are abusive are people who have been abused. There's a lot of learned behavior that comes in the way that you handle relationships. And for me, I would say that my approach to my relationship is heavily inspired by the approach taken by my parents, So I guess I'm saying that I have confidence that I understand what it takes to have a functional relationship long term because I've been able to watch it. You see?
I do see what you mean, but I still don't think that precludes you as creating a statistically likely future.
I mean, I would say the same about literally any element of my life. Statistically likely, YouTube is not going to be
make any
the chat is
big decisions.
A whole lot.
Oh, okay. In that case, before I go, hot take, May, why are you not called Digico?
What?
Oh, Digico, like as in like KO at the end, like
Yeah.
like for a girl, like A-co, B-co, C-co, Digico.
It's cute.
It's too. That would be too couched in my name. I think she wants to have
A
her
little
own
too much.
identity.
Right. Of course, just a fun pun. Anyways, have a great night, man.
All right, you too.
Alright, ciao.
He'll be row fighting the power.
I think Sai is here if you want to get Sai in.
Do we have? You want to get Sai in? All right, bring in the Sai. I feel like that was Vita, by the way. Just sounded just like him.
Sai?
And he would make that reference
Hello?
his name. Sai, that you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Holy shit.
What do you want to argue about?
Okay, fuck you, Digi. Fuck you so hard. I hate you so much right now.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Feel it flow through you.
I do. I really, really do. Okay, so have you ever heard of this thing called the Endless Eight?
Yes.
Now, what is the opinion of the collective of anime fans on the Endless Eight? Would you say?
I think most people don't like it, but I hear nowadays the only people who still talk about it are people who do like it.
Well, I would say the vast majority of people, at least in my experience, don't like it at all and think it was a really shitty idea.
Yeah, I think if pressed for an opinion on it, most people would express displeasure.
I would agree. Let me just say, watching this stream tonight has been like rewatching The Endless Eight.
Okay.
Watching you play this goddamn game and get like 2 seconds into it every like 30 minutes has been the most frustrating thing of my entire life.
This is the normal play speed of VVVVVV.
Okay, no. Okay, the argument I want to bring in was an argument that Econ brought in on Twitter.
Okay.
Now, I don't normally agree with Econ. Like, he has some very out there opinions that I don't tend to agree with a lot. But one of the things I totally think he's on point with was saying that he didn't want to be on the show because he felt that you should not be playing games while you talk to people because it inherently is a less serious, like, argument that way. He made the point that it's like being on the phone while you're talking to someone and that it's just sort of rude. And even if you don't care about that, which I would think you probably wouldn't care about that, from your perspective, I think there's an incentive to take it a bit more seriously. Like, okay, the format I would like to see on the show is similar to like how the Dick Show is set up, where you have like Dick sitting in like the main window with maybe you could have like May in a webcam as well, like off to the side, sort of like how he has his guest callers and whatnot, and Sean, the audio engineer, sort of like that. And then you have like just literally just like talking to camera the entire time, because you said earlier in an earlier, I forget who exactly it was with, but you said earlier that the point of this show was to clarify your hot takes so that you could like spew bullshit everywhere else in the internet, and then, you know, when you get called on it, here's the place where we can discuss it in a more firm sense and clarify opinions.
I wouldn't say that is exclusively the purpose of this show. It's
one of the purposes that the show serves.
It is a good vehicle for that, for sure.
Yeah, I think that it would be okay. One of the things I hate is that, like, for your early argument with whatever the fuck the guy's name was, where he's talking about you being a pedo, you have to be like, oh, well, if you go to the VOD of the previous live stream and go to, like, this time code, you can watch this. Whereas I think if you had a more, like, Dick Show setup, like I'm talking about, then you can literally just, like, get away with, like, cutting out certain bits of the show and uploading them, like, you know, take the good arguments, like the 1 out of every 20 good arguments you do get on this fucking show, and upload it to, like, the Digi Live, or whatever the fuck your channel's called, Digibro After Dark.
Yeah.
Upload it Digibro After Dark with, like, Digibro discusses his lowly thing, and that's, like, you know, cut out the one good argument there.
I could do that with the current formula of the show.
Well, yes, you could, but it doesn't look nearly as, like... okay, remember when you were talking on Digibros about how the concept of Digibros had a much wider reach than what you were tapping into because you were framing it as a Let's Play rather than, like, a podcast, which was the point. I think there's a similar thing that goes on here. When people see you playing video games, I think that it just inherently devalues, like, the discussions that you're having. And I think it makes the show less palatable, especially to be posted in a form like that.
That's potentially true. Let me hit you with something though.
Okay, go ahead.
The Dig Show is very well formulated. I think it's a great show. I'd love to copy the formula. Dick also makes $22,000 every month on that show, and I make $0 on this show. So rather than trying to make it a perfect show, I try to make it one.
I'm not arguing for you to do other things now. I'm arguing for you to do less than you do now. Like right now, you're talking and playing a video game.
You have to understand.
I'm asking you to just do the talking.
You have to understand that the reason I play the video game is because sitting and talking bores me to tears. I hate live streaming. I hate just sitting in front of a screen and looking at it and talking to people or just talking to myself because, like, first of all, it makes my fucking when I just stare forward into a camera. This happens to me every time I record podcasts. Strangely, it doesn't happen on this show. My eyes hurt like a lot. Like at the end of every PCP episode, I'm like fucking blind basically. And it used to happen on Digibros because I wasn't the one playing the game. It's just something about the way I communicate it. It's like I put a lot of stress on my eyes while I'm talking, and I also just feel like I have nothing to do with my hands, and I just get fidgety and fucking start shaking my legs like crazy, and like, basically what I'm saying is that if I can't do at least 2 things at once, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind doing this show. Especially if I have to listen to really boring people, like when people come on here and they're just like mumbling through their fucking point for 5 minutes, like
the last guy.
When I get those guys, I sort of mentally check out while they are trying to formulate their argument, and then I just focus on the game for a little while. Like right now, I'm just getting my fucking ass beat in this. Like I'm making the same mistake over and over again because I'm mostly just concentrated on talking. But as soon as you start talking, I'll be able to play the game. You don't have to watch the game, you know. It's there for the people who want to watch it. And it's a Twitch stream, you know. Like while I said that those things about what the point of the show is, the real point, the core, the why does the show exist at its heart is everyone's been telling me that all the money's in Twitch. So I have spent years trying to figure out how I could make a Twitch show because I fucking suck at video games. No one wants to watch me play video games. I won't have anything to talk about just because
There's like a real life category now. You don't need to play video games to stream on Twitch.
Well, if I just made a real life style of video, it would just be the same stuff I'm already doing elsewhere. Like, the only way that a Twitch show makes sense was through this idea, and I didn't want to have to do this idea if I couldn't occupy my hands, you know? So, really, I just formulated the show around what works for me as a Twitch show, basically.
Right. Okay, someone in the chat made a good point, which is that you have been pretty good at, like, paying attention to the argument and, like, responding adequately to, like, points being raised. So it's not like you're distracted by the game. That's not necessarily even the problem that I have. Like, honestly, I think I would enjoy the show more if you, like, you can keep it exactly the same, just don't show the audience the game. Like, if you were just, like, playing it and, like, but it wasn't on the Twitch stream so no one could see it, then I think I would, like, that would make me less angry at the show in general. I might be able to take the show more seriously that way, and you get the benefits of being able to do something at the same time.
You know, I think it would also benefit me if I played a game that was just like a farming sim or something. Like, maybe that would make it easier, because like
maybe
the last 2 shows I've been playing like extremely difficult 2D platform.
Yeah, this was like V was a horrible choice for this fucking stream. I've wanted to kill myself watching this the entire time.
Well, I'll tell you what. The reason that I'm playing this game is that I had to make a decision about what game to play in 30 seconds before the show started. So I just picked one that I've played a bunch of times and therefore felt that I could, at the very least, even if I suck, I could probably make progress, which I have. I'm almost at the end of the game, I think.
But it's also been a slog to watch, and it's been... I don't think it's just me, because there has been, like, when you were in that fucking tunnel section for, like, the 30-second thing, the entire chat was, like, rioting the whole time I was in there. Like, oh my god, Digi, like, pay attention for 5 seconds.
Okay, every time I've ever played this game, I've been this bad, regardless of whether I was doing a show at the same time or not. I'm just bad at video games.
I'm not arguing that you need to be good at video games. I'm just arguing that the video game does nothing to enhance the podcast. And I'd say most people, I think it only detracts from it, and I think it would be better without it.
Because up until the last 2 shows, we were playing Phantasy Star Online 2, and part of it was that we wanted an excuse to play that game because it's one of my favorite MMOs, and May and I had been trying to get into playing an MMO together ever since we started dating. So I thought, hey, here's an excuse for us to play, for me to introduce you to my favorite game, and we'll play it together. And we thought we were going to continue playing off the show. Like, we'd play off camera and on, eventually get, like, over-leveled and just kind of play, like, lobby areas on the show. But that never happened because I never found time to play the game outside the show. And then currently, the reason we're not playing that game is that my laptop, which May uses to do the show, is in the shop. I fucking broke it. So it's currently under repair, so she can't play any games right now. She's on a shitty old laptop. So since I'm having to fly solo, I just picked my comfort zone, which is 2D platformers I'm bad at.
I see, yeah.
So unfortunately, it's all just basically what I'm saying is it's all production mishaps. Is the reason that any problem you have with the show is because it's production. It's a production disaster. This show. However, you know, we're all learning. We've got plenty of time to change things, figure things out, so maybe I'll pick some kind of simple game that no one would accuse me of being distracted from either the game or the thing, because it's so simple that there is no being distracted from it, like like Farmville or something.
Right. Potentially that'll work. The last thing I want to say on that topic is that you were saying earlier that the reason the Dick Show is able to have good production values, whereas this doesn't, is because he makes tons of money off of that. I don't think this is an idea without merit. I think you could, if you put some production values into the show and post it in a place that wasn't like a Twitch VOD, I think you could get a decent amount of engagement with the show and make it like a regular thing that was made enough money to be worth at least putting the barest amount of effort into.
That's potentially possible. I mean, up until starting this stream, I had no idea, like, what is considered a successful Twitch stream. Like,
neither do I. I've never gotten Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch Twitch at all, so I don't really know anything about it. But like my first stream, people were telling me that my numbers were pretty good. Like, people who know Twitch were like, "Oh yeah, you were successful for this venture." So that's why I continued. And then I already have Twitch affiliate. I got that in like less shows than they said it would take. Like Twitch is like was tripping over itself to monetize me, so I must be doing something right.
Right.
But yeah, you know,
yeah, you got good numbers. You got like 500 people watching right now. Most I could ever muster into a single live stream was like 50 at my best.
Well,
so yeah, you're definitely doing well. Well enough that I do think the show merits some production values, at least slightly.
I think you're right. I think it's worth considering evolution.
Yeah. Also, the one other thing I do want to suggest before I peace out is, like, okay, this is the first Digibro versus everybody that I've watched, so I don't know if this is a thing, but everyone on the chat keeps going next whenever they're bored of a host.
Yes.
I think there should be like a Twitch bot that like monitors how many nexts you get, and if it passes a certain threshold of the overall viewer base, then you actually do just like boot the guy immediately.
Well,
like, don't even let him finish his fucking sentence.
The thing is that it's meant to be a 2-check system, where the idea is that both I and the chat have to want the person gone. And the reason I conceived of that, it has not worked at all. In fact, at this point, the next thing is almost entirely pointless, because it's basically just mostly what it does is it tells the person that they should hurry up. Like, usually it makes them more self-conscious and them try to rush their argument through a little better.
They're reading the chat, which, I mean, I'm talking to you and I'm barely reading the chat.
Yeah,
so
well, I mean,
I'm sure I'm being next now.
If the next thing gets bad enough, then May will usually, because she keeps up with the chat, and she'll like say, "Hey, you're getting a lot of next," and they'll be like, "Oh shit," and usually they get self-conscious about it. But the reason
there's gotta be a better system than that.
The reason I conceived of it was to defend the people calling in, because I wanted it to be that if the audience felt that I was unfairly kicking somebody, then they could say, "No, we want him to stay." You know, like, "No, you have to finish this argument." But instead, the chat is actually way more ruthless than I am towards the cats, and usually wants them gone immediately. So yeah.
Maybe like a straw
definitely
poll
needs
system
more
or something.
thinking.
Yeah, like, I think there does need to be some kind of other system in place. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to recommend anything specifically, but I do think that the idea needs work.
All right. Well, that's fair. I think every idea always needs, could be improved upon.
Well, this one specifically, I think, needs it's quite a glaring issue, I think.
All right.
Like, the last guy specifically drove me insane. We talked about nothing for like 5 minutes straight.
So a lot of the times the reason that I try to keep the people in is that I'm trying to figure out what their actual point is. Like, because I'm often fascinated. Like, with that guy, I was like, why are you so staunchly against marriage? Like, I was really curious if he had any kind of, like, logical point, or if not, if he would recognize that he didn't have a logical point, you know?
I don't think he was staunchly against marriage. I think he was trying to catch you in, like, a logical fallacy. Like, oh, you're staunchly against marriage, so why do you think this?
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was Vita, so... that would be his tactic. But yeah. All right, well, you're done. It's apparently so.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah,
so thanks for having me on.
No problem.
I'll probably never talk to you again. So.
Yeah, fat fucking chance. All right, it's 10. It's past 10, so we should probably wrap this up. We'll bring in one more guy.
You want to do one more?
Yeah. Who is anyone promising in there?
Who knows?
Just because I'm like close to the end of this game, but I'm kind of curious if I can actually. I'm not that close, though. I'd have to do the whole final level.
It's not really.
All right, fuck it. Let's call it here. Thanks for coming out, everybody. This was a fucking eventful show. This is the one that this is the show that I thought this show would be, more like. So, I hope you all had fun. Look forward to this being uploaded to Digibro After Dark as soon as possible. And, oh, and go watch my fucking new main channel video that I posted, like, right before this stream, and so probably a few of you have had a chance to watch. Peace out, bitch!